So my first few weeks at university were really fun, actually. I was in a flat of 13 people, including myself. So it meant that very quickly there was a lot of new people to meet, new things to find out about everybody. And when you're in such a social situation, you end up doing a lot of social things. So, for example, the first week is called Freshers' Week, and the university have organised a whole load of different nights out and different events. So there's kind of club nights out, but there's also sort of meet and greet people in your halls. There's the clubs and societies fair. So you end up going to all these different events. So your first few weeks actually pass very, very quickly. And then you have all the introductory lessons to your course modules, which is fun as well, because then you get to meet your course friends and your lecturers, and you get your book lists, and it's kind of all new and exciting, but without the pressure, because it's quite fun, really, the first few weeks.
In terms of fitting into the university, I was quite lucky with my accommodation, even though I left it to the last minute. It worked out really well because I ended up in a house with two other girls who are still some of my best friends. And one of them was in the same department as me, doing a master's as well. So we were able to go to a lot of the introduction week activities together, which is nice when you are new to a place to have someone to go with who is also new. So I think just going to introduction weeks, going to all the activities that are organized by the department and by the university as a whole was really helpful, because it helps you get to know people, and then it's a lot easier to settle in. So in the end, I think it only took about a month to really feel comfortable here.
What I would advise those who are transitioning from A-levels or high school coming to this kind of environment, I would tell you to really take the opportunity and seize the moment in terms of making use of the schools services. They have all sorts, as a law student, for instance, we have the legal services advisory system, whatnot. So they really teach us how to write more. They have classes all the time that they're if you need to learn how to reference, you can learn how to reference, or if you want to learn how to cite, here, come for this class. And so don't feel you have the answers to everything, or don't rely on just the people that you're studying with, because they're just as clueless as you most of the time. But rather meet your professors after class and just take everything, just think of it as a clean slate. Don't think of it I know what I'm doing. Most likely you don't know what you're doing, and the school is more than willing to help you, so try and use them to the best.
I definitely suggest to try to do different things, because I think I didn't do it deliberately, but I didn't realize until people asked me what did you do to settle in, is that I'm quite actively engaged in different activities on campus. I am a member of the dance society here, and then I've also done some work with the Linguist magazine here, being an editor for the magazine, so that's a really fun experience. And this year I've joined the Pole Fitness Society, so that's something completely new that I've tried. And then I've also started doing some volunteering work with the Guild. So I think doing more things just help you divert your attention from your study. It's a very good way to distress, and then also to enrich your exposure, to meet new friends. And then I think it's just generally good for your whole personal development, so you're not constantly attached with your studies and all your stress and worries.
To feel part of the university community, I think you just sort of have to throw yourself in a little bit. So if there are things that you've done at school before, if you gave tours and to new prospective students at school, find a way to do that at uni, because that is a good way to get to know the department, to get to know the university, just to sort of get to know your way around. And make sure you go to your lectures and your seminars, because that's how you meet people, that's how you get to know your lecturers, it's how you just sort of spending time on campus, talking to people, and sort of giving yourself as many opportunities as possible to sort of find your feet. So for me, I knew that something that I enjoyed doing was sort of talking to my tutors quite a lot. I at school I always like to have a conversation with my teachers about my work, and so coming to uni I made sure that I did that still. So I went to their office hours, because then they do seem a little bit less austere when you're in a seminar with them, because you've known them, you've sat with them for 5 minutes and had a chat, and that definitely helps.
Moving to Birmingham for my postgrad in terms of adapting to the city and the university itself was quite challenging as well, because my undergrad university was quite smaller, so it had the population of about 18,000, and Birmingham's population is almost times 2 of that. So it was getting used to the university itself. It's quite a big university, and I still struggle till today to find buildings. And the city itself is quite big as well. I am from London, but like I said, I went to a smaller university, so I was used to living in a city where I knew where everything was. But in Birmingham, it's really hard to do that because it is a big city. But I think the best thing would be come visit the university before you start, because that way you get to see where all the buildings are. You get to get a feel of the city itself, so you know if it's for you. And that way, when you do start your masters, it's not that challenging.
So in terms of when I started to feel really settled into university life, it was probably kind of halfway through first term, first year, as I joined the University of Birmingham Dance Society at the beginning of the year, which really helped to sort of structure my week a bit more, because I did 4 classes: modern, jazz, musical theatre and commercial. Because I think one of the challenges about when you come to uni is that you have a lot of time to fill. For example, with my course, French, you don't have lectures kind of 9 to 5 every day. It's more like 2 or 3 hours maximum in a day. So aside from that, you kind of think, right, what am I going to do with the rest of my time? How do I fill it up between sport, socialising, studying? So I think doing things like joining a club helps to kind of ground you a bit more. And, I have, dance at 5, so that means that if my lectures finish at 10, then I have however many hours to study on campus, and then after dance I can go home and relax with my friends. So that's probably, I think, the point where I started to feel really kind of into a normal routine. And also by that point you've had 6 or 7 weeks of lectures, 6 or 7 weeks of living with your flatmates. Kind of who you're going to be friends with, what your course is like, when your assessments are, and you kind of have a much more structured framework with your time at uni.
There were times in my first semester where I felt a bit, I'd say, nervous and a bit out of place, just because I'd taken a mini gap before returning to education. However, with the reassurance from the lecturers and my peers, I settled in quite, I'd say, relatively quickly within the first semester, so it took a number of weeks, but overall it was quite a good transition.